diner was nearly empty when Aaron slipped into the booth by the window. It was late. The kind of late where the lights felt too bright and the silence felt too loud. A few tables were scattered across the room, untouched plates waiting for customers who never came. Outside, the street glistened with rain, headlights passing like brief thoughts that didn't stay long enough to matter. Aaron placed his jacket beside him and sat down slowly, like his body was older than the years it carried. He didn't look at the menu. He never did. The waitress already knew. 2 plates. She didn't ask why anymore. Linda had worked at the diner longer than anyone could remember. She moved quietly now, older, slower, but observant in the way people became when life had shown them enough. She brought the food out without a word. Meatloaf, mashed potatoes, a small side of bread, and set both plates down carefully. Aaron stared at the second plate. Steam rose gently from it, untouched. He checked his watch even though he knew the time didn't matter. He always waited. 10 minutes, sometimes 15. Hope was stubborn like that. It didn't listen to logic. Aaron was 39, though most people guessed older. Grief had a way of carving years into a man's face. He worked construction during the day, long hours, rough hands, sore muscles that never fully healed. At night he came here. Same booth, same food, same silence. It had been this way for almost 4 years. The second plate was for his daughter. Emma would have been 9 now. She used to kick her legs against the booth and complain that the potatoes were too hot, even when they weren't. She loved this diner. Loved sitting by the window, watching cars pass and making up stories about where they were going. Aaron never moved the small pink hair tie looped around the edge of the table leg. It had fallen there once, and he'd never touched it again. People noticed. Some pitied him. Some avoided him. A few told him it wasn't healthy to keep coming back like this, that he needed to let go. They didn't understand. This wasn't holding on. This was the only place where she still felt close. Aaron folded his hands together and stared at the empty seat across from him. The food cooled slowly. His chest tightened the way it always did. But he didn't fight it anymore. Pain had become familiar, manageable. Then the door opened. The bell above it rang softly, breaking the stillness. Aaron looked up without thinking. A woman stood just inside the entrance, hesitant, like she wasn't sure she belonged there. Her coat hung loose on her thin frame, sleeves pulled down over her hands. Beside her stood a little girl, no older than 7, clutching the woman's leg. The child's eyes went straight to the tables, to the food, to Aaron's second plate. Linda noticed them too. She wiped her hands on her apron and walked over, her expression careful. "Can I help you?" she asked gently. The woman swallowed. I'm sorry. My daughter's hungry. We were just wondering if we could sit for a minute, just to warm up." Linda hesitated. She glanced toward the counter, then back at the child. "I can't let you sit unless you order something," she said quietly. "Owner's rules." The girl shifted, pressing closer to her mother. Her stomach growled, soft, but loud enough. Aaron felt it hit him like a punch to the ribs. The woman's voice cracked. "I understand. I'm sorry for bothering you." She turned slightly, already preparing to leave. Aaron stood up before he could stop himself. "There with me," he said. Both Linda and the woman froze. Aaron gestured toward the booth. "Please, sit." The woman stared at him, disbelief written across her face. "We don't want to intrude." "You're not," Aaron said. His voice was steady, even though his heart wasn't. "There's plenty." The girl peeked around her mother's leg, eyes wide. After a moment, the woman nodded. They slid into the seat across from Aaron, the child sitting closest to the food. She stared at the plate like it might disappear if she blinked. Aaron pushed it toward her. "Go ahead." The girl looked at her mother. She nodded, tears pooling in her eyes. The child picked up her fork and began eating quickly, carefully at first, then faster, like she was afraid someone might change their mind. The woman pressed a hand to her mouth. "Thank you," she whispered. "I'll pay you back. I swear." Aaron shook his head. "You don't owe me anything." Linda brought over a glass of milk without saying a word. She met Aaron's eyes briefly, something unspoken passing between them, then walked away. For a long moment no one spoke. The child ate. The woman sat stiffly, hands folded in her lap, like she was trying not to take up space. Aaron watched them and felt something shift inside him. Something he hadn't felt in years. Not relief, not happiness, but warmth. When the child finally slowed, she looked up at Aaron. "Thank you," she said softly. Her voice sounded too much like Emma's. Aaron's throat tightened. "I'm Sarah," the woman said carefully. "And this is Lily." Aaron nodded. "Aaron." Outside, rain tapped against the window. Inside, 3 strangers sat at a table that wasn't meant to change anyone's life. But it already had. They didn't rush to leave. That surprised Aaron more than the interruption itself. After Lily finished eating, she sat quietly, swinging her legs beneath the table, tracing circles in a smear of gravy with the tip of her fork. Sarah kept apologizing under her breath, the words falling out like a nervous habit she couldn't stop. "We won't stay long," she said. "I know this is a lot." Aaron shook his head. "It's fine." He meant it more than he expected. The silence that followed wasn't awkward. It was heavy, but gentle, like a blanket laid carefully over something fragile. Aaron noticed how Sarah kept glancing toward the door, how her shoulders remained tense, as if she were waiting to be told they had overstayed their welcome. Lily didn't seem worried at all. She leaned closer to the window, watching the rain streak downward. "It sounds like the sky is crying," she said. Sarah smiled faintly. "It does." Aaron swallowed. Emma used to say the same thing. He looked away, focusing on his coffee before the memory could sharpen into something unbearable. Linda came by to refill their cups. She paused when she saw the empty second plate, then looked at Lily, who smiled up at her with mashed potatoes still clinging to her cheek. "Hungry night?" Linda asked gently. Lily nodded. "But I'm not now." Linda squeezed her shoulder before moving on. Aaron felt something loosen in his chest. "So," he said quietly, more to fill the space than out of curiosity. "Where were you headed?" Sarah hesitated. "Nowhere in particular." That answer told him everything. He nodded slowly. "Cold night to wander." Sarah let out a breath that sounded like a laugh but wasn't. "Yeah." Lily leaned against her mother, her eyelids growing heavy. The adrenaline of eating had worn off, replaced by exhaustion. Sarah brushed hair away from her daughter's face, her touch protective, practiced. Aaron noticed the dark circles under Sarah's eyes, the way her hands were rough, nails bitten short, the way she sat like someone who hadn't rested properly in a long time. "You don't have to explain," he said. Sarah looked at him then, really looked at him. "Most people ask anyway." "I'm not most people." She studied him for a moment, then nodded. "We lost our place a few weeks ago," she said softly. "Things unraveled faster than I expected." Aaron didn't interrupt. "Lily's dad passed last year," Sarah continued. "After that, it just kept going downhill. Rent went up. Work dried up. I tried to keep things normal for her. But," her voice faltered, "normal costs money." Lily stirred slightly at the sound of her mother's voice tightening. Aaron felt the words settle into him like stones. "Lost." He knew that language too well. "I'm sorry," he said. Sarah nodded, eyes glossy. "I didn't want her to see me like this, asking strangers for help." "She won't remember it the way you think," Aaron said. "Kids remember how they felt, not how things looked." Sarah swallowed hard. Lily yawned, rubbing her eyes. "Mama, can we go somewhere warm?" Sarah froze. Aaron looked at the clock on the wall. It was later than he'd realized. The diner would be closing soon. The rain outside hadn't let up. He thought of his small apartment, of the quiet, of the second plate that usually went untouched. "I've got a couch," he said before he could rethink it. "Not fancy, but it's warm." Sarah's head snapped up. "No, I couldn't. It's just for the night," Aaron said quickly. "No pressure. I just don't like the idea of you two out there." Sarah's hands trembled slightly. "You don't even know us." I know what it's like to need somewhere to land, he said. Silence stretched between them. Lily looked up. Do you have blankets? Aaron smiled. Too many. Sarah closed her eyes. Okay, she whispered. Just tonight. They left the diner together, the bell ringing softly behind them. Aaron held the door open, shielding them from the rain as they stepped into the night. His apartment was only a few blocks away. They walked slowly, Lily holding Sarah's hand, humming to herself. Aaron unlocked the door and flicked on the light. The place was small but clean. A couch against one wall. Tiny kitchen. A single framed photo turned face down on the shelf. Sorry it's cramped, Aaron said. It's perfect, Sarah replied, her voice thick with emotion. Lily curled up on the couch almost immediately, wrapped in a blanket Aaron handed her. She was asleep within minutes. Sarah stood awkwardly, unsure where to put herself. You can sleep too, Aaron said. I'll take the chair. You don't have to. I want to. Sarah nodded, exhaustion overtaking pride. As the apartment settled into quiet, Aaron sat in the chair, listening to the steady rhythm of Lily's breathing. Sarah slept lightly, curled toward her daughter. Aaron stared at the ceiling. For the first time in years, he hadn't eaten alone, and he didn't know if that scared him or saved him. Aaron didn't sleep. He sat in the chair beside the window, watching the rain thin into a quiet mist as the night stretched on. Every so often, Lily shifted on the couch, mumbling something incoherent before settling again. Sarah slept lightly, one arm instinctively draped across her daughter's chest, as if even in rest she was guarding what little she had left. Aaron understood that kind of vigilance. He glanced toward the shelf where the framed photo lay face down. He hadn't meant to leave it there. Some habits just didn't break easily. When morning came, it arrived gently. Pale light slipped through the blinds, touching the walls with something almost hopeful. The rain had stopped. The city outside sounded calmer, like it too had decided to breathe. Aaron stood quietly and moved into the kitchen. He made coffee, the familiar scent filling the room, grounding him. He found bread in the cabinet, a little butter and some eggs. It wasn't much, but it was enough. Sarah stirred as the pan warmed. She sat up slowly, confusion flashing across her face before memory returned. I didn't mean to fall asleep like that. It's okay, Aaron said. You needed it. She rubbed her eyes, then looked down at Lily, still asleep. Her shoulders sagged with relief. Breakfast was quiet. Lily woke to the smell of eggs and smiled shyly when Aaron handed her a plate. She ate slower this time, carefully, like she trusted the food would stay. Do you have school today? Aaron asked. Lily shook her head. Mama says we're on a break. Sarah's lips pressed together. For now. After they ate, Sarah stood near the door, her bag clutched in both hands. We should go, she said. You've done more than enough. Aaron nodded, though something in his chest resisted the idea. Where will you go? Sarah hesitated. We'll figure it out. That meant she hadn't. He scratched the back of his neck. I've got a spare room at the construction site. Old office space. It's not much, but it's dry. You could stay a couple of nights. Sarah's eyes widened. I can't keep accepting help like this. Aaron met her gaze. You're not taking anything from me. You're using what I already have. Silence. Lily looked between them, sensing the tension. I like it here, she said quietly. Sarah closed her eyes. Okay, she whispered. Just a few nights. The site was quiet during the day. The old office smelled like dust and wood, but it had a working heater and a small bathroom. Aaron brought in extra blankets and a space heater, setting everything up without making it feel like charity. Sarah watched him carefully. Why are you doing this? She asked finally. Aaron paused. Because someone did it for me once. That wasn't entirely true, but it felt close enough. Days passed. A few nights turned into a week. Sarah found temporary work cleaning houses during the day. Lily stayed nearby, coloring at a small folding table Aaron brought in. Sometimes she'd ask questions about the tools. Aaron answered them patiently, surprised at how easily the rhythm returned. Too easily. One afternoon, Aaron found Sarah scrubbing the small sink with fierce determination. "You don't have to do that," he said. "I need to feel useful," she replied without looking up. "I can't just exist on someone else's kindness." He understood that too. But not everyone did. The looks started quietly. A few co-workers noticed the woman and child near the site. Someone made a joke. Someone else asked questions. Aaron brushed it off at first, but the murmurs grew. One evening, his supervisor pulled him aside. "You running a shelter now?" "They're just staying temporarily," Aaron replied. The man shrugged. "Just don't let it become a problem." That night, Aaron lay awake again, staring at the ceiling, wondering if he was doing the right thing, or just reopening wounds he'd worked so hard to survive. The breaking point came sooner than he expected. Lily developed a fever. She grew quiet, her cheeks flushed, her energy gone. Sarah panicked, pacing the small room, pressing her hand to Lily's forehead over and over. "We need a doctor," Aaron said. "I don't have insurance," Sarah whispered. "I can't afford. I'll handle it." The hospital was bright and cold, the smell of antiseptic sharp and overwhelming. Aaron sat beside Sarah in the waiting room while Lily slept against her chest. The diagnosis was simple: infection, antibiotics, rest. The bill wasn't. Aaron paid it without hesitation. In the car afterward, Sarah stared straight ahead, tears sliding silently down her face. "I can't keep doing this to you," she said. "You're losing money. People are talking. You don't even know us." Aaron gripped the steering wheel. "You think this is about money? Then what is it?" she asked, voice breaking. "Because it feels like you're trying to save us. And no one does that without needing something in return." He pulled over. The silence that followed was heavy, honest. "I lost my daughter," Aaron said quietly. 4 years ago." Sarah's breath caught. "She loved diners," he continued. "Loved sitting by the window and pretending every passing car had a story. After she died, I kept going back, ordering 2 plates, pretending she was still there." He looked at Sarah. "When Lily walked into that diner, it felt like the world cracked open. And I don't know if that makes me selfish or human." Sarah wiped her face. "I'm scared," she admitted. "Scared that Lily will get attached. Scared you'll disappear. Or worse, resent us." Aaron nodded. "I'm scared too." They sat there for a long time, neither trying to fix the fear, just acknowledging it. When they returned to the site, the lights were on. A man stood near the entrance. Tall, rigid, familiar in the worst way. Sarah froze. Aaron felt it instantly, the shift, the danger. "That's him," Sarah whispered. "My ex." The man turned. His eyes landed on Lily first, then on Aaron. And the look he gave him was anything but grateful. Sarah didn't move. Her body locked in place like her mind had stepped backward in time. Aaron felt it beside her. The sudden tension, the way the air thickened, the way Lily instinctively pressed closer to her mother's side. The man took a step forward. "Sarah," he said, his voice smooth in a way that didn't match his eyes. "There you are." Aaron positioned himself slightly in front of them without thinking. Not aggressively, just enough. "You shouldn't be here," Sarah said, her voice shaking despite her effort to steady it. The man smiled faintly. "I can be wherever my daughter is." Lily's fingers curled into Sarah's coat. "She's not your daughter," Sarah replied. "You lost that right." The man's gaze flicked to Aaron. "And you must be the hero." Aaron didn't respond. "I was wondering how long it would take," the man continued. "A lonely guy with a savior complex. Playing house." Aaron felt heat rise in his chest, but he kept his voice level. "You need to leave." The man laughed quietly. "You don't get to tell me that." A few workers nearby slowed, sensing something wrong. Aaron noticed, and so did the man. He straightened his posture, lowered his voice. "Let's not make a scene," he said. "I just want to talk to my family." Sarah's hands trembled. "You heard us. You don't get to pretend this is normal." The man's jaw tightened for a brief second, just long enough to show the truth beneath the calm. "This doesn't end with you hiding behind strangers," he said. "I'll be back with a lawyer." He turned his attention to Lily. "I'll see you soon, sweetheart." Lily buried her face in Sarah's coat. Aaron stepped forward fully now. "Don't come near her again." The man's eyes narrowed. "Careful," he said softly. "You don't know what you're stepping into." Then he turned and walked away. Sarah exhaled sharply, like she'd been holding her breath for years. Aaron guided them inside the office without a word. He closed the door, locked it, and leaned against it for a moment, grounding himself. "I'm sorry," Sarah said, tears spilling freely now. "I never wanted this to touch your life." Aaron knelt in front of Lily. "Are you okay?" She nodded slowly. "He scares me." Aaron looked up at Sarah. "This doesn't get ignored." "I know," she whispered. "That's why I ran." "Running won't protect her," Aaron said gently. "Not anymore." That night they didn't sleep much. Aaron made calls, legal aid, a domestic violence hotline, a coworker whose sister worked in family law. Sarah sat beside him, listening, absorbing, her face pale but resolute. By morning there was a plan. They filed a report. The officer who took the statement listened carefully, especially when Lily spoke. Her small voice carried more weight than anyone expected. By the time they left the station, Sarah had paperwork in her hands and a trembling sense of direction. Court came faster than either of them were ready for. Aaron took time off work, sat quietly behind Sarah in the courtroom, his presence steady but unobtrusive. The man tried to twist the narrative, claimed abandonment, instability, manipulation. But facts have a way of surfacing. Medical records, witness statements, Lily's testimony. The judge listened. When the ruling came down, Sarah's knees nearly gave out. Full custody. A restraining order. The man was ordered to stay away. Outside the courthouse, Sarah cried. Not loudly, not dramatically, but with the kind of release that comes when survival finally loosens its grip. Aaron stood beside her, one hand resting lightly on her shoulder. "I don't know how to thank you," she said. "You don't have to," he replied. Life didn't become perfect after that, but it became quieter, safer. Sarah found steadier work. Lily enrolled in school nearby. Aaron returned to the diner less often, but when he did, he ordered only one plate now. The second plate was no longer a ghost. One evening, as they walked home together, Lily skipped ahead, humming softly. Sarah slowed her steps. "She asked me something today." Aaron glanced over. "What?" "She asked if you were family." Aaron didn't answer right away. "I told her family isn't always who we start with," Sarah continued. "Sometimes it's who stays." Aaron swallowed. They reached his building. Lily ran inside, calling out about homework and crayons. Sarah turned to him. "I'm not asking for promises." He nodded. "Good. Neither am I." They stood there for a moment, neither rushing to leave, neither afraid of the silence. For the first time in a long while, Aaron felt something unfamiliar settle in his chest. Not grief, not fear, possibility. The diner felt different now. Not because the lights were brighter or the food tasted better, but because Aaron no longer walked in carrying the weight of expectation. He didn't scan the room for an empty seat that shouldn't be empty. He didn't brace himself for the quiet. He came with purpose, and that purpose had a heartbeat and a laugh. Sarah sat across from him, folding a napkin with careful hands. Lily slid into the booth beside her, backpack thumping against the vinyl. The same corner, the same window, but this time the space was full. Linda approached with a soft smile and set down 3 plates without comment. No questions, no pity, just warm food placed gently where it belonged. Lily grinned. "This is my favorite place," she announced. Aaron smiled back. "Mine too." Life didn't become magical overnight. Bills still arrived. Work was still exhausting. Some mornings, grief woke Aaron before the alarm did, pressing a heavy palm against his chest. Some nights, Sarah sat staring at the wall long after Lily fell asleep, her mind replaying things she wished she could erase. Healing didn't erase the past. It just changed how the past lived inside them. After dinner, Lily asked for pie. Sarah started to say no, then stopped. Aaron nodded at Linda, and a slice appeared a minute later, steaming slightly, the scent of cinnamon curling into the air. Lily ate slowly, savoring each bite as if sweetness itself were rare. Aaron watched her and felt a quiet ache. Emma had loved pie too. For a moment the memory rose sharp, but it didn't knock him down. It rested beside him, like a photograph held in steady hands. Outside, the rain had returned, light and gentle. Aaron walked them to the truck, holding Lily's hood over her head with his palm. Sarah's shoulder brushed his as they moved, accidental and warm. Neither of them stepped away. At home, Lily fell asleep on the couch with crayons scattered on the carpet. Sarah gathered the paper quietly, stacking drawings that showed stick-figure families with too many smiles to count. Aaron cleaned the kitchen without being asked, the simple rhythm of dishes and water calming something inside him. Later, in the dim living room, Sarah sat beside him, knees pulled close. The room smelled like laundry soap and leftover coffee. For a while they said nothing. Silence was easier now. Not an enemy, not a punishment, just space. "I used to think surviving was enough," Sarah whispered at last. "If I could keep her safe, that would be all that mattered." Aaron nodded. "I used to think remembering was the only way to love." Sarah turned her head. "And now?" He stared at his hands, rough and scarred. "Now I think love can be a door that opens, not a room you lock yourself inside." Sarah's eyes filled, but her voice stayed steady. "I don't want to replace what you lost," she said. "And I don't want you to replace what I lost." "I wouldn't let us," Aaron replied. "Not you. Not Lily. Not me." The next week, Aaron went back to the diner alone on Friday, the old habit tugging at him. He sat in the familiar booth and felt the old weight waiting to settle. Linda came over, already reaching for the usual. "One plate," Aaron said gently. Linda paused, then nodded like she understood more than he could explain. She set down a single plate and, a moment later, a small cup of extra gravy on the side, Emma's favorite. Aaron swallowed hard, touched the cup once, and whispered thank you into the quiet. That night, when he got home, he opened the drawer where he kept Emma's little things. A pink hair tie, a school picture, a folded note with crooked letters. He didn't hide them. He didn't worship them. He simply held them, letting the grief move through him like water instead of stone. Then he placed the hair tie into a small wooden box and set it on a shelf where the light could reach it. A few days later, Sarah came back from work with an envelope. Her hands shook as she handed it to Aaron. "What is it?" he asked. "A job," she said, voice trembling. "Real hours. Benefits." They checked references. "They didn't treat me like I was broken." Aaron smiled, and the smile stayed. "You earned it." She exhaled, shoulders loosening. "I still feel like the other shoe will drop." "It might," Aaron admitted. "But if it does, it won't hit you alone." That night, Lily looked up from her homework and asked, "Can people have more than one family?" Sarah's throat tightened. Aaron felt his chest go still. "Yes," Sarah said carefully. "They can." Lily nodded, satisfied, and went back to coloring, as if the question had been ordinary. But Aaron knew it wasn't. It was a bridge offered by a child who had learned too early what it meant to lose. On the first warm day of spring, Aaron took Sarah and Lily to the diner again. They sat by the window, watching the city move, and for the first time in years Aaron didn't feel like he was waiting for a ghost to arrive. He was present. He was here. When Linda brought the plates, she looked at Lily and said, "You take care of them, okay?" Lily saluted. "Yes, ma'am." Aaron laughed, and the sound startled him with its ease. Later, as they walked out, Sarah reached for his hand. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't a confession. It was simple and real, fingers finding fingers like they had always belonged. Aaron squeezed back, and the world did not end. The past did not erase the present. Grief did not demand payment. He had thought connection was dangerous. He had been wrong. Sometimes the bravest thing a person can do isn't surviving alone. is pulling out a second chair and letting someone stay today.